I've been very vocal about my belief that Evgeni Malkin is one of the greatest players I've ever seen. The interesting thing with Evgeni Malkin is, it depends on the year. Now, it depends on the year due to injuries, and then last year was really a strange one for him. I took some heat for not having him in the top 15 centers in the NHL. I stand by that because last year he was not one of the top 15 centers in the NHL. But let's go through his career and we'll discuss some things in his career, and then I'll come back to that. 2006 2007, when he showed up in the NHL, 78 games played, 33 goals, 52 assists, 85 points. He's a Calder winner. Pretty excellent run to start with, and you could tell that the combination of Malkin and Crosby was going to be lethal. 07-08, 82 games, 47 goals, which was fourth in the National Hockey League. 59 assists, which was sixth. 106 points, which was second. Made him a first-team All-Star, and he was second in line for the Hart Trophy in his second year in the National Hockey League. Absolutely insane. 106 points in his second year. And it gets better in his third year, where they win the Stanley Cup. 08-09, 82 games played, 35 goals, 78 assists, which was first in the NHL. 113 points, also first. He wins the Conn Smythe. He's a first-team All-Star. Genuine, fantastic player who cannot live up to that expectation after that. But this is where it's interesting, because those first 3 years he's healthy. He only misses 4 games that first year. He doesn't miss anything second and third year. And his point totals are crazy good. And this is while he's got some other guy named Sidney Crosby playing with him as well. It's not fair. It's why they get to the Stanley Cup Finals in 08 and they get and win the Stanley Cup in 09. 09-10, he plays 67 games, misses 15 with injury, 28 goals, 49 assists, 77 points. And the accolades drop. And again, a lot of this has to do with that teammate of his wearing 87 on his back. 2010-2011 plays 43 games, so misses roughly half the season. 15 goals, 22 assists, 37 points. And there's some concern at this stage about Malkin and whether or not he's going to be healthy for a full season going forward. And it's something he and Crosby have had in common throughout most of their careers. 2011-2012, however, huge comeback year for him. 75 games, 50 goals, which is second in the NHL. 59 assists, which is third. Combined, he ends up winning the Art Ross as the points leader with 109. He wins the Ted Lindsay. He wins the Hart. He's a first-team All-Star. And up until here, absolutely, legitimately one of the best stars in the history of the game. Right? And it looks like he's trending through the roof. He hasn't got to 100 points since then. He's been close. Now, 2012-2013, he plays 31 games, so he missed 17 that year. 9 goals, 24 assists, 33 points. And his fragility has been an issue. Plays 60 games in 2013-2014, 23 goals, 49 assists. 49 assists was 10th in the NHL that year. 72 points. 2014-2015, 69 games played, 28 goals, 42 assists, 70 points. So again, he's putting up more than a point a game, but he's not able to stay healthy a full season. And that continues as in 2015-2016, plays 57 games, 27 goals, 31 assists, 58 points. But he's healthy in playoff time. And during those playoffs, he's kind of quiet at the start, but he gets really noisy as the playoffs go along, and he plays a major role for the Penguins again as they win the Stanley Cup. 2016-2017, they win the Stanley Cup again. Malkin only plays 62 games during the regular season, 33 goals, 39 assists, 72 points. 2017-2018, plays 78 games, 42 goals, which is fourth in the NHL, 56 assists, 98 points, which is fourth. This is during this season that I made my video whether I thought he was generational or franchise level player, and I stated I thought he was generational. I still do. I still think that if Evgeni Malkin played for any other team in the league, maybe except the Capitals, maybe, he'd have more points, and he would very likely get a lot more accolades and probably a few more awards because he wouldn't have been seen as being in the shadow of Sidney Crosby. Now, 2018-2019, plays 68 games, 21 goals, 51 assists, 72 points. There were long droughts and stretches with him last year where he didn't seem to be Evgeni Malkin anymore. And he wasn't really, I don't know, it didn't feel the same. And it felt like he was in some severe decline. 21 goals, the lowest goal total he had in any season, other than this one here, 15, where he played 43 games, and this one here where he played 31. and he had 9 goals that season. So his goals were down. Points per game was down from the year before. And in general, it just looked like maybe he was winding things down. Now, this season, what's been remarkable is, A, he's already had his injury, so he may very well be healthy from here. He's already missed some games. 21 games played, 9 goals, 20 assists, 29 points. One of the wonders of Evgeni Malkin is that he can turn it on. So as soon as Crosby goes down with injury, I went, all right, here we go. Malkin just gets to turn it on then, and he has. And it again reveals that if he didn't play in Pittsburgh, and if he was a first-line center, and if he was the go-to guy for an organization, odds are he'd have more goals than the 400 he currently has. He's 99th on the all-time list for goals. Now, the 873 games, I don't know if he would have played more in an organization that wasn't Pittsburgh. I would think he'd be more of a target if he wasn't in Pittsburgh, because he wouldn't be the second-line center. 631 assists in his career, which is 17th, or 77th, I should say, on the all-time list. 17th. 77th on the all-time list. 1,031 points is 78th on the all-time list. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind. He has 3 Stanley Cups. He has 2 Art Ross trophies, a Conn Smythe. He has a Hart Trophy. He was second in the Hart here. He's a first-team All-Star 3 times in his career. And right now he's having another one of those pretty good seasons for Malkin, where it looks like he's going to beat the points totals and goals totals he had last year. Be almost difficult for him not to. He has to score 13 goals for the rest of the year to beat the total he had last year. In playoffs, 162 games, 63 goals, 105 assists, 168 points. And overall, pretty solid career for Pittsburgh Penguins legend in Evgeni Malkin, a legend which isn't done being written yet. And, of course, the question mark with him will always be if he had played every game, if he'd been healthy throughout his career, how many more points would he have, and how many fewer, or how many less arguments would I have had about his status? Because I still think Malkin's one of the greatest players that I've ever seen, and that I can still say, yeah, he's been just fantastic for a very, very long time. He had a down year last year. He's back up this year. And we'll see when Crosby comes back, which is supposed to happen early in 2020, whether or not that affects his points totals and if he goes back to being more of a support player or if he can keep up this kind of pace. I think he can. I think the one thing with Malkin that's been somewhat frustrating is that at times it feels like he's not engaged. And then all of a sudden he is. And he goes out and scores 3 points in a game. And you go, there's the Evgeni Malkin that's engaged in the game. And then for 2 or 3 games after that, maybe he's kind of quiet. And you're like, where's Malkin at? And of course, I will mention it here. There are people who believe that Malkin takes things a little too far and that he plays a little bit of a dirty style of game. I would say that when you've missed as many games with injury as he has, you might play with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder when you do play, and you want to prove to the coach that that you're good to go and that you're healthy. And I'm not making any excuses. I'm just trying to figure out, some of that style that he plays. But again, part of it too is like last season it was when Oshie ran into him and knocked himself out. Malkin's a really, really big guy, and sometimes some of the injuries that he's involved with that go the other way and not against him are because of his size. He's big, and he's a lot stronger, I think, than people give him credit for. We talk a lot about Ovechkin and how insanely strong Alex Ovechkin is and how that's helped him into his late 30s. Malkin is a pretty darn strong guy too, and you get the feeling that he will play as long as he wants to or as long as his body will hold out. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I will talk to you again soon.